Thank you, Chair, and thank you for this opportunity to present an update on the HIV Fourth 90 consensus statement. Just a little bit of background. We're all now extremely familiar with the UNAIDS WHO 90-90-90 targets. They've guided the policy and research agendas for HIV care delivery for years now and helped catalyze a coordinated global action response. They've spurred significant progress on linkage to care, access to antiretroviral therapy, and viral suppression, though more work is needed to address gaps in the cascade of care, as you see here on the bottom right. We're well aware that people living with HIV are aging, and that's good news. But it also means they're at higher risk of multimorbidity. We've discussed this, and here you see some of the figures for how much more multimorbidity, how many more comorbidities people living with HIV are likely to have. And we also know that discrimination continues to be a persistent problem for people living with HIV. With all of that in mind, and thinking about the 390s from UNAIDS, we proposed the idea in 2016 of a fourth 90. A fourth 90, which would mean that all people living with HIV have good health-related quality of life. Now, we proposed that 4 years ago, but how do we measure it? And what exactly is meant by a fourth 90? Well, in the HIV field, there is strong interest in introducing a fourth 90 target relating to the long-term care of people living with HIV, but no consensus has emerged regarding how to operationalize the fourth 90 in terms of policy, practice, and monitoring. In order to strategically support health systems in improving long-term care outcomes, HIV stakeholders need a clearer shared understanding of what the fourth 90 represents and how progress toward the fourth 90 should be measured. So with this consensus statement that we're developing, we expect to publish it in July 2021 for the AIDS 2021 conference, in which we define the HIV Fourth 90 and constituent measurable elements. Global and national health system monitoring should be modified to better reflect progress on HIV Fourth 90 targets and sub-targets. Global, regional, national, and subnational stakeholders should be guided by this consensus statement in pursuing strategic goals that will optimize long-term care outcomes for people living with HIV, including non-clinical outcomes. The Fourth 90 consensus statement is being led by a steering committee of 11 experts that you see here from around the world. They represent a range of disciplines, as well as the people living with HIV community itself. And as we've held our first meetings, we've been thinking about the framework for defining and measuring the HIV Fourth 90. As a starting point, we took our article from 2016, in which we identified two domains, the domain of comorbidities and the domain of self-related, health-related quality of life. We realized that self-reported HRQOL encompasses other key Fourth 90 issues. And last year, throughout 2019, we had discussions in which we started to expand from 2 domains to 3 domains, changing comorbidities to multimorbidity, retaining self-related reported HRQOL, and adding in the important domain of HIV-related discrimination. We're in the midst of ongoing discussions about how to incorporate other important issues like frailty, disability, the concept of healthy aging, and other paradigms that are currently emerging. So what we plan to do from November and into the coming months into 2021, as we prepare for finalization and the Delphi method to get agreement on the consensus statements and ultimately publish them, is to review a series of scoping reviews that bring together the evidence and that will advise the panel experts on how to best understand selected domains with the latest available evidence. We will undertake that Delphi process I mentioned, in which we have a series of at least 3 meetings, now of course all virtual, in which we will review the consensus statements, vote on them, discuss, revise as we seek to reach some form of consensus. And finally, as mentioned, we expect and hope to publish this consensus statement in July 2021 for the AIDS 2021 conference, where we'll have a special session to discuss the consensus statement. We'll be working during this time to align with the UNAIDS strategy development process that's going on and that we recently participated in, a focus group discussion discussing healthy aging and the Fourth 90. And we'll be working with WHO, the ECDC, other key stakeholders to make sure that this consensus statement is fit for purpose to guide us into the next era of HIV outcomes beyond viral suppression and what it means to have a Fourth 90, to define it, to measure it, and to incorporate it into other paradigms and other approaches to ensure that everyone living with HIV has a long and healthy life. Thank you.